Hey, we're going to dive into the top 3 mistakes that most people are ignoring in their bicep training. So these are going to be outside the box form tweaks that I learned from training with Tشارلز, the godfather of bodybuilding. And there's going to be 3 action steps throughout this video. If you follow all 3, I guarantee you're going to blow up those biceps regardless of your genetics. Now, the first mistake is not enough peak contraction in your bicep workouts. Now, this one right here is a game changer because when you feel it, you are never going to go back to training your biceps any other way. Now, there's 2 exercises in particular that I learned from Tشارلز that really help you dial in that peak contraction. Now, the first one is the drag curl. The drag curl at the top of the concentric part of the rep is the definition of peak contraction. So try this form. On the drag curl, you have to understand that it's not a regular bicep curl. Now, all you're doing on a drag curl is your elbows are going back, your palms are coming up. And so you're driving your elbows back as your palms come up. So you're not bringing your elbows forward like on a traditional curl. Literally, the entire move is just your elbows going back as your palms go up, and you're trying to keep those shoulders down. So it's a partial range of motion. You're not doing the full range of motion. Now, you want to go nice and heavy on this. So you're going to realize the peak contraction stops when that barbell is right around the middle of your abdominals. So I like to go really heavy on this in the 8 to 10 rep range and really focus on getting a nice hard squeeze at the top, keeping those palms up. So it's very important that as you come up and your elbows go back, you keep your palms up to really feel that peak contraction. Just trust me on this. Try this, a nice heavy weight that you can do for 8 to 10 reps. Keep those palms up as you curl the bar to your forehead, and you will feel a crazy bicep contraction. So action step for you guys is 5 sets per week at the minimum of an exercise that you get an incredible peak contraction on. So I recommend you do either 5 sets of swoop curls or 5 sets of drag curls at the minimum every single week. The second very common mistake is no stretch of the bicep at any point in your workout. Now, when you're training your biceps, you have to understand there are 2 really important parts. There's the squeeze, aka the peak contraction we just talked about, and there's also the stretch where you're actually getting a full stretch of the bicep. At the top of every single rep, you want to make sure you're squeezing that bicep. So the dumbbell incline curl is incredible, and it's the perfect exercise to really get a squeeze at the top and a stretch at the bottom. So I recommend you go nice and heavy in the 8 to 10 rep range. So action step to fix the second mistake, I recommend you do 5 total sets of the dumbbell incline curl every single week at the bare minimum. If you have lagging biceps, I recommend you go all the way up to 10 to 15 sets of this, because when you get that nice full stretch, you're actually creating more healthy micro tears and more muscle damage, which is going to initiate some crazy growth for you guys. So the third big bicep training mistake is simply not going heavy enough. Now, when most guys train their arms, they get in the habit of wanting to do a ton of pump training. Now, pump training is great because you can trigger metabolic stress, but the bicep muscle has a ton of fast twitch muscle fibers. So it is in your best interest to at least throw in a few exercises every single week where you're going really heavy with good form and failing in, say, the 6 to 10 repetition range. So a few of my favorite ones would be, number 1, the dumbbell alt curl, really focusing on twisting my pinky at the top and controlling that weight at the bottom. So I'll go all the way up to 50s, 60s on this, and I'll fail in the 6 to 8 repetition range. Another great one is just hammer curls. So going really heavy hammer curls is obviously going to work the brachialis and more of the short head, where the twist is obviously going to hit more of the bicep peak. So not only going heavy, but going heavy from a variety of angles is going to be the ultimate mass builder. Another move that I went heavy in a lot of my workouts with Tشارلز is the spider curl. So the barbell spider curl really forces your elbow in front, where if you notice, like the drag curl, your elbow is behind your body, where a spider curl, your elbow is in front of your body. So it's going to favor the short head of the biceps. So I recommend you go heavy in a few different exercises where your elbows are at different placements. So last action step is I recommend you do 10 total sets every single week of direct bicep work where you're failing in the 6 to 10 rep range. I recommend you split it 5 and 5, where you do, say, 5 on a movement where your elbows are behind your body, like an incline curl or a drag curl, and 5 where your elbows are in front of your body, like a cheat curl or a spider curl. So the biggest punch on in this video is just pay very close attention to your form and stay consistent. And remember that if you have lagging biceps and you're trying to grow them as fast as possible, the number one thing that is going to blow up your gains is increasing your training volume. So if you follow